Welcome to DJ's Dancefloors and I-Dos, the podcast that helps engaged couples like you plan an unforgettable wedding day, one beat at a time. Hello there, I'm your host, Shane Griffin, professional wedding DJ and MC with over 20 years experience, and right here, I share real advice, smart planning tips, and behind-the-booth insights to help you feel confident, organized, and ready to celebrate your big day. Congratulations! Whether you're just starting out or deep into wedding planning, you are in the right place. Thanks for being here. Before we get started with today's episode, a couple of quick reminders. First, check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Shane Griffin Entertainment, and also find us on TikTok at Let Shane Entertain. Secondly, like and subscribe this podcast so you can be alerted when new episodes drop. And third, check our website, letshaneentertain.com, where you can find our list of entertainers, pricing, our informative blog, and our vendor referral partners. Everything you need to help you make informed entertainment decisions. And lastly, I've developed a free ebook, and it's titled The Bride's Guide to Wedding DJs, and it's available to you for free, no strings attached. If you'd like a copy emailed to you, simply send me an email, shanegriffinentertainment@gmail.com. That's shanegriffinentertainment@gmail.com, and I'll send it right out to you. Okay, let's jump into episode 20, Wedding Traditions You Can Skip Without Regretting It. Many of the questions I hear more than almost any other from modern couples is, do we have to do that? Do we have to do the bouquet toss? Do we have to do the garter toss? Do we need to cut the cake? Do I have to have 6 speeches? Do we have to introduce every member of the bridal party? And my answer is almost always the same. No. It's your wedding, not someone else's. One of the biggest changes I've seen during my 20-plus years as a professional wedding DJ is that couples are becoming much more intentional. Instead of following tradition simply because that's how it's always been done, they're asking an important question. Does this fit us? I think that's a great way to approach wedding planning. Traditions aren't good or bad. They're simply tools. Some create wonderful memories. Others may not fit your personalities or your guests. Today, let's talk about some of the most common wedding traditions, which ones I think are still worth considering, and which ones many modern couples are happily skipping. Let's start with probably the most debated one, the garter toss. Now, 20 years ago, almost every wedding included it. Today, I probably see it at less than 20% of the weddings I perform. Why? Because many couples simply don't feel comfortable with a garter toss. Some think it's awkward. Others feel it interrupts the flow of the reception, and some just don't think it represents who they are. And honestly, that's okay. If it's something you've always wanted to do, go for it. But don't feel obligated simply because someone tells you it's tradition. What about the bouquet toss? This one is actually becoming less common as well. And here's why. Many guest lists today include married couples, couples in long-term relationships, and guests who simply don't want to participate. I've seen bouquet tosses where only 3 people came out to the dance floor. That's not exactly the exciting moment the couple had envisioned. Now, on the other hand, I've also seen bouquet tosses that were absolutely hilarious because the crowd was into it and the DJ was engaging. It really depends on your guest list. Like what you hear so far? Then give us a like and be sure to subscribe. If you're a newly engaged couple, this podcast, DJ's Dancefloors and I-Dos, was built specifically for you. And today, we're discussing wedding traditions you can skip without regretting it. Now, let's talk about something I still encourage couples to keep. The first dance. I've had couples ask me if they should skip it. Personally, I would not. It's one of the few quiet moments you'll share together all day. It's emotional, it's meaningful, and years from now, it's one of the moments you'll remember the most. It doesn't have to be choreographed, although it can be. It doesn't have to be perfect. It simply has to be yours. And here's a real-world example. I worked with a couple who told me they hated to be the center of attention. I hear this a good bit now. They seriously considered skipping that first dance because they did not want all eyes on them. Instead, we found a way to shorten the song to about 90 seconds. They had their special moment together without feeling uncomfortable. And after the wedding, they told me they were so glad they kept the first dance in the timeline. Sometimes you don't need to eliminate a tradition. You simply need to adapt it. Now let's talk about cake cutting. Should you keep it? The short answer is yes, but keep it short. Years ago, couples often spent 10 or 15 minutes cutting the cake, feeding one another, posing for multiple photos, and waiting while every guest watched the event. Today, most couples keep it simple. Cut the cake, share a quick bite, smile for the photographer, and move on. Your guests appreciate keeping the evening moving. Which brings us to another tradition, those long introductions. This is one area where less is often more. I've seen wedding parties with 20 or more people, introducing every pair with elaborate stories, their own songs, choreographed entrances, and all that sometimes can take up to 10 minutes before the couple even enters the room. Instead, many couples today choose simple, energetic introductions. The wedding party is introduced as a group and they enter, and then the couple enters. Everybody celebrates and the reception keeps moving forward. Momentum matters. The faster you transition into dinner and dancing, the more energy you preserve. Now let's talk about another tradition that's changed quite a bit over the years, and I rarely see it. Receiving lines. If you've ever attended a traditional wedding, you've probably stood in one or been a part of one. The bride and groom, their parents, maybe grandparents, everybody waits in line to congratulate the married couple. While it's a wonderful tradition, it can also take a significant amount of time. Today, many couples choose to skip the formal receiving line and instead visit guests during dinner or during the reception. That creates more natural conversations and allows everybody to spend less time standing in line and more time celebrating. And again, receiving lines are very rare. In 20 plus years, as a professional wedding DJ, I can count on one hand the amount of receiving lines I've seen over the years. Now let's talk about parent dances. This is one tradition I still encourage couples to consider. Not because it's expected, but because it's meaningful. Your wedding day is about more than just two people. It's also about the families who helped you get there. A father-daughter dance, a mother-son dance. Those moments often become some of the most emotional parts of the evening. Now, every family situation is obviously different. Some couples don't have parents present. Others may choose to honor grandparents, step-parents, siblings, or another important person in their life. I had a wedding a couple of weeks ago where the groom danced with his aunt. The tradition itself isn't what matters. The relationship is. Now let's move to another tradition, the dollar dance. Depending on where you live, this may be very common or something you've never even seen before. Personally, I don't see it very often here in Charleston. It's about as rare as the receiving line. Some couples love it because it creates interaction with guests. Others feel it interrupts the flow of the reception. Again, there's no right or wrong answer here. Simply ask yourself one question: does this tradition fit us? If the answer is yes, then do it. If the answer is no, don't feel guilty about skipping it. Want my free ebook titled The Bride's Guide to Wedding DJs? Simply send me an email, shanegriffinentertainment@gmail.com. This free 8-page guide will help you immensely as you're making those critical entertainment decisions. Now let's talk about something I think couples should absolutely keep, and that is time on the dance floor. Now, this may sound obvious coming from the DJ, but hear me out here. I've seen couples spend so much time trying to fit in every possible tradition that they only leave an hour, sometimes less than an hour, for open dancing. Then, months later, they tell me the same thing. I wish we had more time to dance. If dancing is important to you, which it is to most brides, protect it. Build your timeline around it. Guests remember how your wedding felt. And for many couples, the dance floor is where those unforgettable memories are made. Here's another real-world example. I worked with a couple who came into our planning meeting with a list of nearly a dozen traditions they wanted to include. And after talking through each one, I asked them a simple question. If we could only keep the traditions that truly matter to you, which ones would they be? They looked at each other and smiled and started crossing things off the list. By the end of that virtual meeting, they had removed the garter toss, the bouquet toss, they shortened the cake cutting and reduced the number of speeches. What did they gain? Roughly 45 additional minutes of open dancing. And that reception became one of the most energetic weddings I've ever been a part of. It was a fun night. Not because we added more, because we simplified, and sometimes less really is more. Now here's one final tradition I'd like you to think about. Doing something simply because someone expects you to. Maybe it's a family tradition. Maybe it's something you've seen at every wedding you've ever attended. Maybe it's something a relative insists you should include. Here's my advice. Listen respectfully, consider the tradition, and then again, ask yourself, does this reflect us? Because truly, at the end of the day, your wedding should tell your story, not someone else's. Traditions are wonderful when they create meaningful moments, but they should never become obligations. Now, before we wrap up, let's quickly review. Traditions many modern couples choose to skip today. The garter toss, the bouquet toss, long receiving lines, the dollar dance, extended introductions, excessively long cake-cutting ceremonies, and activities that don't fit their personalities. Now, traditions many couples still choose to keep: the first dance, parent dances, meaningful speeches, a simple cake cut, time on the dance floor, and moments that reflect their unique relationship. Remember, the goal isn't to have the most traditional wedding. The goal is to have a wedding that feels authentic to you. Thanks so much for listening today. I really appreciate it. Here's my final thought for you. The best weddings aren't remembered because they included every tradition. They're remembered because they felt genuine. Don't be afraid to personalize your celebration. Keep the traditions that make you smile. Let go of the ones that don't. It's okay. And focus on creating an experience that reflects who you are as a couple. Thanks for listening to DJ's Dance Floors and I Do's. If today's episode helped you feel more confident about your wedding entertainment plans, I'd love for you to follow this podcast, leave us a review, or share it with someone that is newly engaged. Our goal here is to provide free, unbiased content to help you make better entertainment decisions. DJ's Dance Floors and I Do's is a presentation of Shane Griffin Entertainment, produced by Rob Duran. Check us out on social, Facebook and Instagram at Shane Griffin Entertainment, and on TikTok at Let Shane Entertain. Also, be sure to visit our website, letshaneentertain.com. A final reminder about our free ebook titled The Bride's Guide to Wedding DJs. To request your free copy, simply send me an email, shanegriffinentertainment@gmail.com, and I'll send it right out to you, no strings attached. Join us next week for episode 21, Should You Let Wedding Guests Request Songs? Until then, cheers!